making a new product, we can carry out a life cycle assessment, or an LCA. An LCA is a cradle-to-grave analysis of the impact of a material, including making, using, and disposing a product. So what do we mean by cradle-to-grave? Mean from when it's very first made to when it's no longer used and is sent to the rubbish. So the first thing we need to think about is material extraction. How much energy is it going to take to produce this material, to get it from the earth or from crude oil? And then about the manufacturing, what's going to be required? There might be quite a lot of energy needed, there might be quite a lot of people needed, for example. And then we think about the transportation. So often manufacturing might be done in different parts of the world and have to be transported somewhere, or it might be that different parts are made in different cities and have to go to a centralised place before being put together. Then we think about the uses. So with this, what we mean is the energy needed to use the product plus the energy and resources to maintain it. So for example, with a car, you might initially think, well, the only energy is from petrol or diesel. But actually, you need quite a lot of energy to clean the car, to take it to the garage, or things that might need to be done to the car to keep it going. But finally, we need to think about disposal and recycling. And so there we have it, that's an LCA. And for every product that we make, you have to go through those processes before you make it. So what do we use an LCA for? Well, we can use the data collected to improve the life cycle of a product. So for example, we might imagine that an LCA for a disposable coffee cup shows that 10% of energy goes into producing it, 15% into using it, and 75% into disposing of it. So what do we do with that information? Well, we can look at that and think, well, there's a lot of energy there required for disposing of it. So is there a way we could decrease the amount of energy required to dispose of it? So that's the area that we would then look at to try and improve the life cycle of the coffee cup. So let's have a bit of a closer look at recycling. Recycling is incredibly important because we're using things and disposing of them at an incredibly high rate. Most of our rubbish ends up in landfill unless we recycle it, and landfill can take a lot of space. It's also detrimental to the environment, and it can create quite harmful byproducts. Sometimes those toxic products produced end up free in the environment and can damage ecosystems. Recycling helps us to conserve these raw materials and energy resources. It also reduces the release of toxic or harmful substances into the surrounding environment. So, not everything can be recycled all the time. We have to think about the following factors when deciding if we should recycle. How easily can the waste be collected and stored? In some cities, you can recycle almost everything in the same bin, but in other cities, you must first organise your recycling and recycle them separately. We have to think also about the amount of energy involved at every stage of recycling. Some things require an awful lot of energy to remould them into a new product. Is it really worth it? We can think also about the type of byproduct produced during recycling and how much of it is produced, and the cost of recycling in comparison to other disposal methods. So as well as landfill, sometimes rubbish is burnt and other such things. So how do we recycle? First, we collect all the recycling, sometimes sorted, but sometimes all together. We then transport it to a centralised recycling centre. The rubbish then has to be sorted into types, most commonly glass, paper and plastic. It is then shredded or crushed into smaller bits to be further dealt with. Recycled metal is always made into new blocks, which are called ingots, and these ingots can then be melted down and used for new products. Water is added to paper, which is then cleaned and new paper is rolled from the mulch. Glass is melted and moulded into new objects. It's really important when recycling glass, if we're required to put the colours in the right bins, that we do so that this process doesn't end up contaminated. And plastics are melted and moulded into new objects.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below. Check out more of our content and remember to subscribe to our channel.